Hey guys, what's going on? Marty here, and we are live in the actual Furnal Equinox. I'm going to do a quick tour, and then I'm going to allow the charity to take over with their panel that was scheduled for 12:30. First things first, follow me. Over here, one of the most important walls, I think, is the Wall of Heroes. This is everybody that has helped put this awesome show together. And we just want to give them one final thanks, or I don't know, maybe a few more over the course of the weekend, but you get the idea. It was a lot of work that helped put this entire event together, and we couldn't have done it without this amazing team. Let's have another walk. I think I want to go upstairs. There's more cool stuff up there. Also, you may not have seen it in the initial opening ceremonies, but we do have portals over here to some other areas, such as rooms up in the South Tower. Those are pretty fun. You might want to check those out. All right, up we go. Where to next? Over here on my left, we have a headless lounge, even though we can't exactly take our fursuit heads off. But there's still the trees and everything, with the blowers, and you have to agree, it's pretty authentic. Let's see. Maybe we go back to the charity. Yeah, that'd be a great introduction toward the charity panel, I think. So, if we take a walk down this hallway, we can also see the panel schedule, so you can see right there that we've got the Meet the Charity panel coming up, then fursuit making, fursuiting in the time of quarantine, lots of good stuff coming up. And then, here we are. Oh, wait for my camera to catch up. Hey. So, this is a little cooler in the virtual realm than it is in real life, because we had registration here last time, if you may recall, from the last in-person event. But we've got lots of cool stuff from the shop with the pins. Look at these pins. Look at these pins, they're so cool. Love these pins. Love these pins. Then we got all the t-shirts. We've got me on a shirt. Look at that. Look at how cool I look. I don't even own a skateboard in real life, but you know, it's cool. And then we have just all the other crazy stuff here with the Hobbit's display, where we have a very, very large moose. Very large. So tall, I can't even get up to the top of the horns, but you get the idea. It's awesome. And then just an explanation here of Hobbit's and how they assist with everything and what they do as an organization. It's a pretty neat display. Oh, is that a skunk? Hello, Mr. Skunk. How are you? I don't want to get sprayed. Better go the other way. Beavers. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. All right. So now that we've had a little more of a tour of the display for the charity, why don't we head back over this way and we can continue exploring the hotel outside of our little opening ceremony session that we did. Although you probably all know the way by now very, very well. Let's see. The lounge, very nice. The North Tower. We won't be going in any of these just yet, but they're cool, and you can go there. Be sure to check those out. That's important. Guess we're going back down into the lobby. There's so many good memories of this exact spot for me. I don't know about you guys, but look at this queue line that would have ordinarily been a queue line. That isn't exactly a queue line because there's nobody in it. But boy, I've stood in so many lines and been so excited so many times. Great. I love it. I can't wait for this weekend. It's going to be amazing. Oh. Okay. They tell me that the charity segment is ready to come on, and we are going to meet our charity, Hobbitsty. If you guys are ready, we're going to go to that now.
First, a little bit about Hobbitsty Wildlife Refuge. This is the sign you will see at the end of our driveway. The two turkey vultures on top are the post-release versions of the two little fluffy cotton balls that we received after somebody had taken them from their family and was trying to raise them illegally as a pet. Hobbitsty is located half an hour south of Hamilton in rural Haldimand County, just off Lake Erie. The area that we take wildlife from is pretty much all of southwestern Ontario. We have a working relationship with many SPCA's, humane societies, and animal control agencies in the areas. The main focus of Hobbitsty Wildlife Refuge is the rehabilitation of sick, injured, orphaned wildlife. We care for mammals, reptiles and amphibians, and birds alike. The end goal is to return these sick, injured, and orphaned animals to the wild and have them lead a life as nature intended. My name is Chantal, photographed here with my eagle friend. I am the founder, authorized wildlife custodian, and chair of board of directors of Hobbitsty Wildlife Refuge. This is just Dave. He has turkey vulture superpower, and he is the vice chair of board of directors and my better half. This is Tiffany, probably one of our longest volunteers, daily driver, also a member of the board of directors, and volunteer extraordinaire. One of the other very important people that we certainly cannot forget to mention is our amazing veterinarian, Dr. Shannon Lee, who is the owner of Scott Veterinary Clinic in Brantford and also our main veterinarian. At Hobbitsty, we focus on four main things. We focus on wildlife rehabilitation, education, mitigation, and research. As for the first question of how I became a wildlife rehabilitator, it was kind of by accident. I initially found some orphan baby raccoons who, with the help of a wildlife rehabilitator, I raised and released. A fawn soon followed, whom I also raised and released. After that, I decided to write my exam with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry and go from there. On the initial application, I wrote that I was expecting to rehabilitate about 30 animals a year. Currently, we rehabilitate upwards of 3,000 animals a year, so I was only off by a couple of zeros. There are some things that you have to do to become a wildlife rehabilitator. First of all, you're supposed to take a basic wildlife course, either through the NWRA or IWRC. Those are both approved with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. You then have to approach the MNRF and write an exam, as well as your rabies vector exam. It is recommended that you get rabies vaccinated, which is at your own expense. After all that is done, you have to fill out an application and give 3 references, 2 of wildlife rehabilitators in good standing with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, and 1 being a veterinarian. When all that is done, a person from the Ministry of Natural Resource and Forestry will come to your home and inspect that you have an area that is appropriate for wildlife rehabilitation, have appropriate caging and supplies, etc. in place before they will issue you the authorization to go ahead. There's all sorts of conditions that you would have to adhere to, so those will also be provided for you at that time. My biggest advice for anyone who wants to become a wildlife rehabilitator is as follows. Spend time volunteering with a wildlife rehabilitation facility. Wildlife rehabilitation is not for everyone. It is really, really difficult. You have to deal with lots of cases of trauma, heartbreak, people doing horrific things to wildlife, and you have to make sure that you have the mental acuity to deal with all those kind of situations. Although what you see on TV and in videos and on social media is a lot of the cute and cuddly, it's basically because we keep the gory details off these types of media sources. Another thing to consider is that wildlife rehabilitation is not a paid job. I've done this since 2007 and I have never made a penny doing it. The initial years, all the expenses were out of pocket for me, and we are lucky now. We are in a situation where we have enough resources in the form of donations that we no longer have to pay as much out of pocket. During the spring and summer, all of us spend a lot of time feeding and caring for hundreds and hundreds of orphan baby wildlife. The second question asks, what is the most ridiculous situation I have ever dealt with? And it also asks how the coyote is doing from Oakville, who had a jar stuck on her head. So we'll start with the second part. The coyote from Oakville with the jar is doing just fine. After she arrived here, she was here for about a week on some antibiotics and pain meds and regaining some strength because she hadn't been able to eat for some time. And I think it was about 7 days later that we released her. We did this in the middle of the night just to make it more comfortable for her, so we don't actually have much in the way of footage of the release. The first part of the question, the most ridiculous situation, that is so tough to answer because that depends on what level you are looking at. So it could be ridiculous in the most outlandish things people have done to wildlife. We keep track every year of the most ridiculous things people have fed to wildlife. Our list includes breast milk and almond milk, cashew milk, cow's milk. All those things are quite lethal to wildlife. People do weird things when it comes to wildlife. I'm still, after all these years, still trying to wrap my brain around some of the stuff that we have to deal with. Some are not outlandish, some are just plain sad and would be tremendous animal cruelty, even though the person who perpetrated the act might have had their best interest in mind. Some of these things I sometimes don't understand what goes through people's head. The next question is about the hardest project I have ever started. By far the hardest project was our ongoing work with young offenders and at-risk youth. It took a lot to get that off the ground. I took a lot of negative comments from various people about that, people assuming our house was going to get broken into, etc. That was not the case, and as a result of our work with young offenders and at-risk youth, we also started working with adult offenders. Those two projects are amazing and are very impactful on the participants' lives. We've seen some really positive outcomes as a result, in various degrees, different for everyone. But that is definitely something, as soon as COVID is over, that we will return to, and with full vigor, and definitely looking to expand those projects as well. It is always a relief when some of these babies get old enough to start eating their own food. It also makes for some pretty cute circumstances. So the next question was about our bird feeder project that hopefully the proceeds from Furnal Equinox will sponsor. So the project kind of started more or less with my desperation and thoughts of people who are currently residing in long-term care facilities. A lot of them have been confined to their rooms, have very little outside interaction. So I am concerned for their overall mental health and decline, perhaps, of cognitive abilities. So in spending some time thinking about that and our recent joining of Hobbits Bay Wildlife Refuge with the city of Hamilton and Burlington and Nature Canada trying to create bird-friendly cities, and there was some mandates that needed to be met. I got thinking about it and then I put them all together. So we have been placing, with permission of the long-term care facilities, of course, we've been placing bird feeding stations at various long-term care facilities. The bird feeding stations are being maintained by volunteers who come out 2 or 3 times a week to clean, disinfect, and clean underneath the bird feeders and then replenish the bird food. And hopefully we are encouraging the folks who live at these facilities to watch the birds. We've had bird identification guides donated by Bird Studies Canada, and we have been distributing them to the long-term care facilities as well. We've also been distributing donated pairs of binoculars so that hopefully everybody can enjoy the bird feeding stations. And then we've encouraged the long-term care facilities to participate in things like the Great Big Backyard Bird Count or Project Feeder Watch. Those projects are designed to collect citizen science about which birds are where at what time. The feedback we've received is very positive. We currently have bird feeders from Peterborough all the way to Windsor. We have bird feeders at about 25 long-term care facilities right now, and getting requests for more pretty much on a daily basis. So we are right now covering the majority of the expenses. We have put the requests out to the greater commercial community. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of support for the project, so we decided to fund it ourselves. We figured this was a very important project, and having seen some of the feedbacks, some of the notes and pictures and stuff that we've received from folks at the long-term care facilities, it made it very, very worthwhile and worth every penny. So it's definitely a great, worthwhile project. Before you know it, the day arrives when they can return to the wild and live a normal life. The next question asks about what project I am particularly proud of. To be really honest, I am proud of each and every project that we have established so far. We've established project in many different areas. As I mentioned before, our adult and young offender programs, fish line recycling receptacles. We are currently have just started a humane beaver mitigation project, which will hopefully result in less orphan baby beavers and more live beavers. We have a turtle egg hatching program that we've been busy with for many years now, and then project with the bird feeders at long-term care facilities. Those are just to name a few. There's bigger and smaller ones in the bunch, and I really can't pick one over another. I think all of them are stellar, and I like projects that have a direct impact. So each and every one of the projects that we've been involved in or have been the lead at are projects that have a direct impact. The fish line recycling receptacles that you see in the picture were made at our facility by a group of young people. We put them up on 18 different locations in Haldimand County with assistance of the county. We take the youth once a month to empty the receptacles. The collected fish line gets cleaned and sent back to a fish line manufacturer who then recycles the line into fish habitat structures that are placed in various locations. The next question asks about what project we would do if we had unlimited funding. So obviously, bigger, better, more expensive facility. I would add to that facility a fully functional workshop to create things like birdhouses, but also, to help build some of the enclosures and so on. The purpose of the workshop and the other things that I would like to see at a new facility, aside from assisting wildlife return to the wild, would be related to at-risk youth and disadvantaged youth. I would like to be able to assist more youth, at-risk youth and disadvantaged youth from more places, international or not. And one of the things that I have observed in youth that are either young offenders or at-risk youth is that they really don't know what they like or what they're good at. They've never either taken the opportunity or have never had the opportunity to really explore their capabilities. And so it's been my observation in working with these young people, giving them opportunities and options to try their hand at different things. And sometimes they are happily surprised when they find themselves good at something. And they love learning new skills like carpentry or welding or animal care techniques. It also gives them a great sense of pride when they can accomplish a project, such as assist with building an enclosure and then see that enclosure go to good use. So actually see the wildlife use it, and this sense of pride helps with self-esteem and is a form of encouraging perhaps post-secondary education or the finishing of high school, so that they can pursue a job in that kind of direction. So I definitely would like to expand on that, but to do more and do it bigger, we would definitely need a lot of money, a bigger place, a different kind of setup. But hopefully, in due time in the future, we can get there, taking baby steps, one step at a time, and that would definitely be a goal to work towards. During the summer, we recover eggs from turtles that have been either killed or had to be euthanized as a result of getting hit by a car. These eggs we put in the incubator, and the resulting hatchlings we release back into a 1 kilometer radius and suitable habitat of the location where the mother turtle was found, in hopes of reducing the genetic loss of the breeding female to the population. The next question asks about some of our volunteers. So we have volunteers from all walks of life, all different ages, and in many different capacities. So our board of directors consists of 4 people, 5 if I include myself. So I am the chair of the board of directors. Dave, my better half, is the vice. Tiffany, one of our longtime volunteers and somebody who drives wildlife for us on a daily basis, is the third. One of our friends and volunteers by the name of Hazel is the fourth, and then Richard is our fifth. Richard is also a longtime volunteer and driver, and so those are some volunteers. So amongst our drivers, we have about 140 drivers on our list. Some are more regular than others. We also have a retired accountant who helps us with the books, but is also a very regular volunteer driver. We've got retired OPP and EMTs. We have some of the former offenders that were sentenced to do community service here that drive wildlife for us. We have 2 retired men that come out and do handiwork and build enclosures and all that, do fencing and such, who often work in conjunction with the young offenders that we have here. We just a huge variety of people, which I really enjoy. One of the things that I'm very proud of is our the general culture, if you will. at Hobbit State is very accepting and very inclusive of anyone from any walk of life, judgment-free, drama-free type of environment. So I really love the way all our volunteers embrace all the people who are fellow volunteers. So that part is something that I really enjoy. At Hobbit State, we have a well-trained oiled wildlife chemical spill response team. We are active throughout the year, which is partially due to our proximity to a large oil refinery, but we also travel throughout and assist when called upon when there is wildlife in distress as a result of a chemical spill or oil spill. Then there is a question about how many animals we have in care at any given time. So that really varies. In the winter, late fall, winter time, we might have anywhere from 40 to 50, maybe 60 animals in care. In the summertime, we will have upwards of 300 animals in care at any given time. So it really depends on what time of year you are asking. We have an active education program that is very hands-on. We do not, however, use live animals for education purposes. We instead use skeleton, feathers, poop, eggs, and other materials that children can touch for education purposes. The next question asks about 5 things that I wish people really did not do with wildlife. Live trap and relocate is one. Feed sick, injured, or orphaned wildlife that they find. The third one would be find injured wildlife, put it in your garage to see if it's still alive in the morning. The fourth one would be go on Google and find do-it-yourself wildlife rehabilitation information. It is really not helpful. You do not need credentials to write stuff on Google, so there is the most ridiculous stuff on Google, and people do really awful things that they have found on Google and think they're doing the right thing. So contact a wildlife rehabilitator right away. The fourth would be abduct baby wildlife without determining that the animal is actually truly orphaned. The fifth one would be is handle wildlife with their bare hands. So the fifth one has nothing to do with the fact that the parent might not take the baby back or anything like that. Wildlife, much like humans, just want their children back. But it has to do with the transfer of zoonotic diseases, which is really mostly a huge concern in the case of rabies vector species. There's laws in place for what needs to happen when people have handled animals that are potential rabies vector species, and that can have a very negative and sometimes lethal outcome for the wildlife, because to test for rabies, the animal has to be not alive, because slices of the brain have to be reviewed under a microscope. So not touching and handling wildlife and leaving that to professionals would be my fifth. All of the birds that leave Hobbit State Wildlife Refuge are banded. Those bird bands are recognized worldwide, so no matter where the bird is found in the world, the banding data will get back to me. It's a way of participating in scientific research, but also to help us determine whether or not our wildlife rehabilitation protocols that we have in place are appropriate and cause the birds to survive long term. Sometimes the banding works the other way around. We recently received a banded red-tailed hawk with an eye injury. When we submitted the band number, we heard that the hawk was banded 22 years ago as a youngster. So now we have contributed to scientific knowledge of red-tailed hawks, knowing that this hawk was able to survive 22 years in the wild. The question asks about our future plans for the wildlife refuge. So we have a rather large expansion in our future with the help of an endowment and money that we have set aside. We hope to purchase land to create a bigger and better wildlife refuge. Once we've bought land, we will have to raise the funds to build a brand new state-of-the-art wildlife rehabilitation facility that hopefully meets all our needs. That will include a lab specifically for testing wildlife for wildlife-related diseases. And so our hope is that we can purchase enough land to create a native plant nursery. We would like to encourage people to plant native plants in their yards. So we hope that if we have a native plant nursery and can sell native flowering plants and shrubs and trees, we can kill two birds with one stone by making a little bit of money to help support the wildlife rehabilitation end of things, but also see more native plants and trees and shrubs in people's yards rather than geraniums, which also benefits wildlife and supports wildlife. We then hope that by scattering enclosures throughout the farmland that we buy, we can use the rest of the land that we buy to create suitable habitat for wildlife, plant trees, restore wetland, which then in turn would help us create meaningful activities for some of the at-risk youth, young offenders and adult offenders that we work with. So hopefully make it a full circle type project / facility. The beaver mitigation project I mentioned earlier has to do with the fact that we see more and more orphan baby beavers every year. Their families killed because they have been damming in places where people don't want beaver dams. We will be putting in place various mitigating solutions in different types of sites to show that you can humanely mitigate beaver damming and prevent flooding without harming the beavers or messing with their habitat. So conjoined with that, we will be putting into place a large-scale education program intended for landowners. The next question asks if we allow visitors to the wildlife refuge. The answer is pretty short. No, we do not. The wildlife that we have in care is wild. They are not zoo animals. They are not used to being around humans. They already are having a pretty bad time because they are hurt, sick, injured, and they are here. They are confined in an enclosure or a cage, and to facilitate healing, we keep human exposure at an absolute minimum. So having people coming to visit the wildlife does not benefit the wildlife that we have in care. There's enough animals in zoos and sanctuaries that are used to having human interaction, so I'd suggest people go visit them. There's also a clause in the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act and a condition on our authorization that says we cannot have wildlife on display. So, but the biggest reason, aside from the law, is it simply does not benefit the wildlife that we care for because they are wild. So often people ask, what is the point of what we do? This is the point of what we do. The wildlife that we have in care is most often in care because they were in distress as a result of human activity, being hit by a car, hit a window, etc. Being able to get these animals back to being healthy enough to resume their life in the wild is what we do and why we do it. The next question is by far the hardest one. I hope I can get through it without crying. It asks what the hardest thing is that I've ever had to do related to wildlife rehabilitation. So I've had to do some pretty difficult things. I've had to euthanize animals that we've had in care for extended periods of time that were not recovering the way we would like and could not be returned to the wild. I've also had to euthanize animals that had been kept as people's pets and were in such a way that they could not be returned to the wild or had no placement, and so had to essentially euthanize healthy animals because people had messed with it too much. But the one that stands out the most in my mind happened last year. We got a coyote in that had a really badly mangled broken leg, and she had been trying to survive for some time, so all the injuries were a little bit older, and she was very, very, very pregnant. I don't think I've ever in my life consulted with as many veterinarians as I did that time. It just was not possible to repair that leg surgically. It was not possible to have the pups born through cesarean section without the benefits of receiving colostrum. So we looked at the option of euthanizing the female after the pups were retrieved through C-section. essentially the general consensus, and believe me, I hummed and hawed about this, and believe me, some tears were shed over this. I ended up having to euthanize that coyote. And the very last question asks about Hobbits Day Wildlife Refuge working relationship with hunters and anglers. So we do have a good working relationship with hunters and anglers, which is really beneficial to us. Essentially, as a wildlife rehabilitation facility, we are Switzerland. We do not judge. And so hunters and anglers are out and about, they're out in the woods. We want to encourage them when they come across injured wildlife that is not in season to bring out the animals, to let us know their observations. But it also gives us the opportunity to help educate on certain issues. So I've done some education sessions for groups of hunters and anglers, and we've been able to talk about the effects of lead poisoning. I like tackling projects that have results that you can see, and not results over like 100 years from now, but results that are happening boots on the ground. And so working with hunters and anglers rather than against them, it gives me that opportunity to have discussions with people, and to change a mind here or there about the use of lead ammunition, to show them what data we might have about the importance, the number of eagles dying from lead poisoning, etc. So rather than work against them, we work with them in hopes of simply having a good working relationship with everyone across the board.
Welcome back, viewers. It's I, Marty again. Hope you enjoyed learning about the charity and meeting the charity. We also have the Q&A that's going, and that's going to be in the Furnal Equinox Discord. It's not an official on-stream, per se, part of the panel, but it is an essential part, and you can ask all your questions over in the Discord right now. And that will be going on for a little bit while longer, too. Then we have, let's check my schedule here. Fursuit Making 101. That's going to be coming up at 1:30. So if you want to learn how to make a fursuit, stick around for that. Then, okay, it's Marty time. I actually have a guest over here, Mr. Ronnie Noodles. Hi, Ronnie.
Hello.
He's going to be showing you around and stuff later on too. But yeah, so this charity, we've had them. We've been working with them for a couple of years now, because we've had them for our next planned in-person event, and then we had them for the virtual event and stuff. So do we, how helpful has it been for Hobbit Steve? Have you heard much about all the stuff that we've done? Because we've gotten so much in terms of charity donations. We've got so many great viewers here on this stream now. We've got so many great people who've done so much work to really help boost our donations and things. We must be really, really, really helping Hobbit Steve, huh?
Absolutely. And I can tell you that, all the charities that we work with over the years have shown just how much our support has benefited their cause. I mean, we've had different charities over the year, from things like the lemur sanctuary that we helped out a couple of years back, to the greyhound rescue, and we've had so many of our partners just show us the impacts that our community makes on their cause. And furries are already a very charitable group, but just to see that for this event, that we're not even having this in person, we're all at home right now watching this on a live stream or in VR chat, interacting with this awesome virtual space, but to see all of that still show all the love and support that our charities deserve, and we're able to provide so much, especially in these times, right? Because in these times where people and businesses and charities are fighting more than ever to keep their cause alive, through all the hardships and whatnot, it's just amazing to see how much our community can impact the lives of not just our charity friends, but our fuzzy four-legged friends as well. I mean, they're kind of speechless, as you can see, right? If you look at all of our friends around this exhibit, they're just speechless, right? They're speechless at how much money you've given to them. I mean, Mr. Beaver, do you have anything to say about all the money that's been raised so far? Yeah, you got anything to say?
Speechless. He doesn't.
He's absolutely speechless. Exactly. It's almost like he's got his mouth stuck on some bark or something like that. I think that's actually what's happening.
Yeah.
He's
right.
Well, I don't know if he's a woodchuck chucking wood right now, but I think we'll have to get back to him for a comment later.
Maybe we should take a look at that donation meter, see just how far we've come. We've done so much good work.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's take a look together. From what I can see,
11,000?
it looks like we are at $11,276. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And is that like Canadian dollars or like US dollars? I don't even know.
No, but that's amazing. That's fantastic.
You know what?
You guys are amazing.
We don't even care. Canadian dollars, US dollars, Doge coins, GameStop stonks, we don't care. We want them all. Just keep them coming. We want to make sure that all of our four-legged friends here at Hobbit's Tea, and even our feathered friends as well, we don't want to forget them.
Yeah.
But
oh, they're important.
we want to make sure that we leave this charity with more than enough to, keep the good fight up and rescue all of the animals that are just looking for a safe shelter, a safe place to be. Right? I mean, I'm pretty sure that if we were animals, which we are, but if we were animals and we wanted someone to come, you're like a whole fox and all that. But
right?
That's just something that we would want every animal to have, is a safe home and a loving, a loving environment.
Yeah, for sure. And
yeah,
we've got, all these animals back here, and we know that their most recent project they were talking about was doing the bird houses. The bird houses for those who are living in the long-term care homes, and that's going to be so helpful, not only for the animals and taking care of those birds and making sure that they're fed and everything, but also just all of the people who are living in those homes, and they get the joy of seeing those birds kind of fluttering by the windows, and they get to do some bird watching. Awesome.
Yeah, I wonder, those bird houses that you're talking about. I wonder if our virtual burb friends that are running around the virtual convention would be able to fit in those burb houses as well. I like saying burb instead of bird, because burb just makes it like 5% cuter. I mean, we've got a lot of burbs that we know, right? Like the charity burb that,
absolutely.
Yeah, like the charity burb that we know. If in case you haven't met the full team yet, I know that Marty here had shown all of the Wall of Heroes before, but our charity burb Scani, who also was the former chairman of Furnal Equinox, that charity burb has definitely been I guess waterworky this whole morning from seeing that amount of support. That was one of the cutest things.
He was so excited and so elated that we were doing so much great work, and
exactly.
We've done so much with raising the charity money, and it's been fantastic. Thank you so much, guys.
Yep, and I'm sure that you'll see not just Scani Burb around the virtual space, but you'll see many of our other Burb friends running around. So remember, Burbs are friends, not food. So please, for all of you felines out there in our virtual world, please do not attempt to eat the Burb avatars. that includes you, Retcon, behind the camera.
Hi, Retcon. How you doing? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no eating the burbs,
I
Retcon.
have
Burbs
fought a
are
couple
friend,
of
not
ravens
food.
in my day, but I'm good now. We're at peace. We made a
Quoth the
truce.
Raven.
Well,
All right, we're not going that far back in time. We're not rewinding back to Edgar Allan Poe days.
Oh.
So,
Edgar
what
Allan
else
Poe
do you
was
what else are you looking forward to this weekend, Marty?
I'm really interested in the fursuit meet and greet panel. That seems like that'll be kind of cool. You have it in virtual
Ooh.
reality, which is going to be a little bit different, but it's still always cool, even on people's cameras and stuff, to be able to see those different things going on and how everybody's got the cool suits and the the funny things with the ears, and some have a really crazy hair, kind of like me, but cooler mostly. I also love dancing. Dancing's a lot of fun. Gonna catch me at the dance panels for
Oh,
sure.
you'll see me there for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Actually, I am more looking forward, to kind of follow up on your point on the dancing. I am actually looking forward to the dance competition that's going to be happening.
Ooh.
What do you think about that?
I think that is going to be really cool. It's always something else to see all the talented people, the talented dancers in our community, and the stuff that they do. Some of them do flips. They do flips. I can't do flips. I see that, and it's like, wow.
Backflips and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
goodness,
crazy.
that's amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they do it. Yeah. And
Yeah, it's
they don't
almost
even
like
need a
they gotta,
trampoline. I get on a trampoline. I can't
Mhm.
even do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like they gotta defy gravity and do some sort of weird acrobatics, and then somehow they land on their feet. Usually when I try backflips, I land on my back, so I don't really get the flip part down. I think I just do a back, you know?
yeah, that sounds kind of like me. If I do a front flip, I land on my back or
Oh my
front
goodness.
or wherever. It hurts.
I'm just
It's bad.
Yeah, I just
bad.
looked at our charity meter again, and we're now up to $11,329. We have even more donations coming in from all of you wonderful folk out there joining us this weekend for virtual Furnal Equinox. I want everybody out there right now, no matter where you are, just give yourself a round of applause or a pat on the back, because you all deserve it for your generosity and being able to give back to this community. You can't see it right now. I am clapping very feverishly. I'm clapping my paws, but it's not showing up on screen because I don't have my VR gear right now, unlike the opening ceremonies video, and it makes me feel like I don't have the right VR experience.
I'm actually doing the same thing. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's a bit. Listen, you can hear it through the mic.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got it.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Well, we're not going to do it for too long because we don't want, people's ears getting blown out by our clapping.
That's obnoxious, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
But, regardless, yeah, we love everybody that's been donating so far.
Yeah, the donations have been fantastic. But I was just thinking, as I was looking back here behind this wonderfully crafted 3D tree, there's the shop too that we still have open, and that's going to be closing on Sunday, or at least the Square shop is, because our team has been doing all of the distribution stuff. And hi.
Ooh.
Finding cameras.
Marty, is that you on this T-shirt?
Yeah, it is. It is totally me on this T-shirt.
Oh my gosh, you can wear Marty? Oh my goodness, I want to wear Marty. I want to be able to wear a Marty. That's so cool. I mean, wear the T-shirt. I don't want to wear Marty. That'd be kind of weird. But I want to wear this T-shirt, Marty. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then if I'm ever thirsty during the event, I can even just drink out of these cool water bottles, right?
Like a little sippy sip. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff here, and we had a lot of the T-shirts that we had going. Those were specifically, we were doing fundraisers for those to try and help out the convention. We've done a lot of great work with that, and I've seen the pictures. You guys are sending them in on Twitter, and we see them all, and they're amazing. And you guys look amazing in this stuff. The pins, I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to add them to their collections. And Ronnie's face is now a giant purple tag, and it looks wonderful.
Well, I
That'd
just
be so
wanted to
much prettier.
draw attention to where. Whoa, what are you saying about my face, Marty? Hold on. I shaved this morning. I trimmed these noodles. Thank you very much. But regardless, this is where you can grab the merchandise if you want to, join in on the Pixel Purrfect swag, because the Pixel Purrfect swag is more than worth it, as you can see. Actually, I kind of just caught myself on the playback of the stream, and yeah,
All
that
right.
actually is an improvement on my face. You're not wrong, Marty.
Yeah. Okay. So we are now going to send it on back to our charity for a few more words, and then we're going to move on to fursuit making.
Sounds good.
Love it. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Wow, Dodge. Looks like we have a lot of extra cash since we haven't been traveling much. What do you think we should do with it?
Oh yeah, right, that's true. Oh, I know. Let's donate to FE's charity, Office Sea Wildlife Refuge.
Office Sea Wildlife Refuge? That sounds like a great idea. What do they do?
Well, let me tell you. Office Sea Wildlife Refuge helps rehabilitate sick, injured, and orphaned wild animals. They're currently working on something called Project Bird Feeder, which is to raise money to build bird feeders at long-term care homes. This not only will help provide birds with food and shelter, but will also provide a source of entertainment and brighten the daily lives of the residents who can enjoy some bird watching. Long-term care facilities have been some of the hardest places impacted by the pandemic, and this could help make their day a bit better. And that's why I think we should donate.
Wow, that sounds awesome. What a great way to give back to the community and help out others in need.
And our feathered friends too. We hope that you have yourselves a great time at FE's Pixel Purrfect. Mwah!
Tonight, I just wanna take you on. Throw your hands up in the sky. Let's set this party on fire. Players, put your pinky rings up to the moon. Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out. Pop, pop, it's showtime. 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 Guess who's back again? Oh, they don't know. Gone time. Oh, they don't know. Gone time. I bet they know as soon as we walk in. Showed up. I'm wearing Cuban links. Yeah. Designer mix. Yeah. Inglewood's finest shoes. Whoop, whoop. Don't look too hard, might hurt yourself. Known to get the color red or blue. What y'all trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out.
Another day in the life of Storybook Farm. Some kittens had been born in one of our sheds from next door, so they were running around today, and we managed to catch some of them. So you guys have been the recipients of helping some kittens, and we're hopefully gonna put them out to anyone who would like to adopt a little kitten. No, thank you.
He's like, no. Hi. How cute.
We just gave them a bit of a wash.
Oh, there, see?
Oh, hungry.
Told you. So what we're gonna do is, because we love animals so much, I've made a phone call to a friend who rescues feral kittens. So I called her to give me a hand, and I hope that she'll be able to come and pick them up and be able to take them to the vet tomorrow to make sure that they're okay, and then she'll make sure that they get the proper food that they need, and then she'll either foster them out or keep them, or I may take this one home.
What would you name him?
No, I can't. I already have 3 cats and 2 dogs and 20 monkeys.
And 20 monkeys, yeah. Oh, he's adorable. He's like a little panda bear.
About 4 weeks old, so, you know. We're not just about monkeys here, we're about helping all animals.